it's very difficult to get really good, solid kind of looks or reps or vision of what we got to adjust to and communicate with. So it's a great time of year for execution. It's a great time of year for communication. It's obviously not the time of year for contact. That'll come in training camp, and right now there is a great opportunity for us to get ahead in the installation. And one of the things that we really have to consider with the decrease in the amount of training camp time that we have with the players from a practice standpoint compared to what we had before, these are really critical for us from a learning installation standpoint. Everything is just so accelerated from that aspect in training camp. So these are great days. They're great for us from that standpoint.
Frank Ragnow looks like he's been working at center. And is that something you're planning on doing or thinking about doing, or putting him at center?
We evaluate a lot of players in a lot of different positions. The spring is a great time to do that. Frank knew how to play center last year too, so that was really good for us just in case those situations come up. And Graham, he cross-trains at guard. He's played guard before in the league, so he's got a little bit more experience than Frank does playing center in the NFL right now. So it's just a great opportunity for us to get a look at all different sort of combinations of players that we have. Ultimately with the offensive line, like I may have mentioned before, that's the one group I would say as a group in whole that's really difficult from a standpoint. You got 5 guys that have to see the game through the same set of eyes. So there's a lot of repetition, a lot of situations where you're trying to put them in that sort of communication stressor, so they work through all of that. So, Frank's one of those guys. He certainly has position flex. We knew that when we drafted him, and we'll see how the competition goes from that standpoint. Sure.
Glasgow's game that makes him so versatile.
Yeah.
And then left side, right side, center.
He is very versatile. The thing about Graham, I always forget all the time, is he's very long. He's tall. He's got good short space quickness, which in the guard position is really good, especially against some of the quicker defensive tackles that we're seeing nowadays. Obviously, there's variations of defensive tackles we see between guys that are bigger body, 2-gap players as opposed to 1-gap, kind of get upfield. So his very intelligent, very smart. When you're a center, you're the guy that's usually directing the traffic between all 5 guys. So understanding that position helps him be a better guard, and his ability to then communicate out to the tackles and some of the protection looks is also real valuable from that standpoint. So real athletic guy, has that versatility. And again, like I said, he's a lot longer than you think. He has great length to him, which is good inside to keep those guys off of you.
Matt, are Damon Harrison and Darius Slade with you right now?
Right now we are, it's voluntary as that part of the season is concerned. Those 2 guys are not here. You will not see them at practice today. But we fully, expect at this time of the year, there are guys that are here and guys that are not. That's really, that's totally fine. We're working with the guys that are out there. We've got, a lot of guys out on the field, and we're working with those guys to get better. And it's a great opportunity for everybody to improve. So.
What does it mean to, I know it's voluntary, but
Sure.
to not have some of your key defensive
You know what?
players?
I've been through this before too. Back in the day, I've had other great players, really great ones on my defenses before that. Just whatever the situation was, they have other off-season routines that are, agreed or talked about or kind of just, gone through so everybody's on the same page with all that stuff. So it's really, for us, it's just focusing about the guys that are on the field.
How do you think you're a different coach than you were a year ago, and maybe hope you're a better coach than you were a year ago?
Sure. We always hope we're better every single day. So, that's a big key for me right there. I think for me, going into year 2, not diving into it too much, is just I've had a little bit more of an opportunity to kind of set up the offseason, I would say, from that standpoint, and then obviously pushing forward. So not coming into a situation where it was so frantic coming off of the season that I'd had previously, coming to a new place, trying to learn a team. I would say hopefully all of that from a standpoint of just being a better coach will make me, that much better as a head coach moving forward. Obviously taking a year into the job to take a look back at myself and what, I was able to do and not do from that perspective, and then also learn our team, learn our players, and have our players learn me. And I think, with any sort of working relationship, hopefully year 2 is always better. So, obviously got to go out and produce when we get to the fall, but right now it's just all about improving day by day, which is great.
I saw that TJ Lang was out yesterday. Is he working with you guys now? You got a coaching job?
No, TJ just came by, shot me a text, said, "Hey, do you mind if I come by?" TJ and I have a great relationship. He's someone that I'm really close to. He's obviously a veteran member of our organization that was here, and I leaned on a lot last year and had some great conversations with. So he just, stopped by, wanted to see everybody, and he was out and about. So I'm sure he's, it was just great to see him. Just really good.
And Matt, piggybacking on Larry's question right there, I mean, so much we heard last year about the locker room not buying in and some of the dysfunction.
Yeah.
How big of an issue was that, I guess, and what do you do about that coming this year?
Yeah, for me, I don't really buy into all the whatever is being said outside the building. It's really what's said inside the building, and I think that myself and the players are all just pushing forward in the right direction. We're all having great conversations, great meetings through the off season, and with the time that we've had through the spring, and a lot of the conversation that I had really right after the season with the guys, and all of us understanding we all just got to do better. In the end, it's just about trying to go perform better on Sundays, and the rest of the stuff doesn't really matter. And I think everybody gets that. So just trying to improve, trying to get used to everybody and get used to the systems that we're installing. We obviously have another new system on offense right now and special teams that we're implementing. So there's a lot of learning going on right now, which is great for everybody.
It's going to be a long time before decisions are actually made. Is there a stylistic difference to right and left guard other than, I guess, just the footwork and work being mirrored?
I would say just in general in the league, some teams, absolutely. There's a lot more right guards in the league that you'll look at, maybe call it the bigger run side type of the offensive line. Sometimes the left guards are maybe a little bit more athletic from that perspective. I would say that's, in general, that is not true for every guard, every tackle from that perspective. Some of it depends on the quarterback. Is he right-handed? Is he left-handed? Some of it depends on the scheme. Are they more quarterback-friendly right-handed, from the aspect of how they're set up? Back in the old days, they used to flip offensive linemen either side, so all of that is kind of variable. Sometimes there's a little bit to it with stance, right-handed stance versus left-handed stance. What guys feel more comfortable, how they move more comfortable to one direction than the other. So it's all part of the evaluation process as we go through that. But in the end, you're just trying to find the 5 best out there that you can.
Matthew Stafford had a turbulent offseason with everything going on with his wife at home. Still in here, from what I know, working out, doing things with guys. What does that say about the quarterback?
Well, I would just say, turbulence is a little weird word right there, right? So let's just go with, I think, Matt Stafford is an unbelievable guy. This is a guy that has come to work every single day and has done everything he can to try to help this team. And obviously, like we all do in life, trying to deal with life outside the building. And he's done an amazing job of that, like he does every single day that he's here. So just couldn't be more blessed, more happy to have a guy like that who just his desire to be in this building and handle everything that he has to handle off the field, but come in here every single day ready to work. That's just a true professional.
Got a couple new faces behind Stafford at quarterback. Just what are you hoping to see from those guys at this point in the season?
Sure. Obviously it's all about competition, and they're kind of all in the same boat, which is kind of nice from that perspective. They're all in there kind of learning the same thing for the first time. So all of them have a different degree of familiarity with that sort of offensive system, but it's just making sure that those guys are in there working together, trying to learn the offense together, trying to help the team. Certainly from a skill set standpoint, trying to evaluate all of them from how they handle themselves in the huddle, to the play calls, to the line of scrimmage, checks, adjustments, the throws, different pocket presence, different footwork that's associated with the different offensive system. All of that has to be taught and learned and evaluated at a high level. So it was great competition for those guys. They're, Savage obviously has been in the league and kind of been around a little bit. He's got a great professional, and Connor Cook's the same. He's been in a couple of different situations, but has really just come in and tried to work hard every single day. So the consistency there is just what we're looking for from those guys.
Matt, the NFL and the PA Players Association announced 2 initiatives yesterday. I don't know if you saw them, one on behavioral health and one on pain management. Because as a head coach, I just wonder, how that would benefit the players, from your opinion.
Sure. I'm not going to really speak to anything that was released as far as the NFL. The mental health situation component that I think the league is pushing and the PA is pushing is actually something that we've always had installed. I always think that the mental health of both the coaches and the players and the people that work in an organization is critically important, especially in high-stress business. That's all really critically important that we have those services available to everybody just to deal with, whatever it is that they have to deal with. So that's something we definitely already do. We've always kind of had that in the different programs that I've been in from that standpoint.
And Matt, speaking of Stafford, how bothered did he seem from last year, considering it was a rough season last year, and then moving forward, I guess I would assume that would act as great motivation, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, we're all motivated, right? So he's great. There's nothing more I can just tell you that he comes in every single day ready to work hard, and like I said, guy does unbelievable professional. He deals with everything he has to deal with, and then comes to work every single day and competes, which is awesome. So.
Just one thing, and obviously Bob Quinn's been at this year longer than you have in terms of roster building, but just from year to year and your tenure here, you see the roster shaping up, and you get sort of a vision of the way you like it to
We'll see, right? With the roster, it's always usually takes you a couple years to kind of figure out if everything works in that standpoint. But certainly in the NFL nowadays, the roster changes drastically every year. It's just kind of the way that things work. It's difficult to keep the majority of your players if they're free agents. The market and the value for all of them, it's hard to do all that. We do always talk about in free agency, if you can sign your own players as free agents, that's usually a good thing and kind of gets brushed over from that avenue, from that perspective. And then, through the draft, we got 2 draft classes right now that we're excited about, but one that hasn't even played a snap in the NFL yet. So we're just trying to get good as a team. And I think every single year there's players that emerge, whether it's a veteran, a journeyman, undrafted guy or a drafted guy that will emerge here somewhere in the middle to later part of the season that you really say, wow, that's a really good player. So it's part of the process, and the patience that we have with that is trying to develop those guys as we go. Okay, all right, appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you.